So much fun here in Branson. Hi, friends. I'm Byron Tyler with Bot Radio Network, and I made the wonderful drive up through the Ozark Mountains to hit the Branson scene. Love coming to Branson. Summertime is a wonderful time to come to Branson. So many shows. I've mentioned before, there's over 100 live shows and stages in town. And there's one show you have got to see, and that's with Clay and Tina Cooper. Clay Cooper's Country Express, but hey, there's a whole lot more inside the walls of that theater. Clay, of course, a native of Wiley, Texas, began his musical career at the age of 14. He's only 26 now. No, not really. But he's...
What do you mean, not really?
not really. But anyway, let's go ahead and welcome the Coopers, guys. Welcome back to the show. You are no strangers. Colton's been on the program with me. You guys have been in the studio, getting ready to kick off a summer. What's happening with the Coopers?
Yeah.
What is happening with the Coopers?
Well, we're looking forward to June. We're starting 4 days a week. We've been 3 days a week throughout the spring. And then we added a morning show in May. And now we're just going to be all night. So we'll be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday at 7:30. So we're looking forward to that Monday night show.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, we're about to get busy.
About to get busy. Mm-hmm. Well, you guys have been busy now it all started here in Branson. What year was that?
For me, 1986.
But when you guys got together and the theater came together.
Is this our 20th year of our own show?
We first opened in 2005 as a morning show.
Okay, so we've been in business as Clay Cooper's Country Express 20 years.
Oh, my.
We bought the theater from Jimmy Osmond in 2010. So we've been in our own theater 15 of the 20 years.
Right, right.
Yeah.
What would you say is the secret sauce that's motivated you guys so long to perform with such energy, such creativity, and such drive? What do you feel?
Well, I think we still love what we do. People ask all the time, like, hey, you've been doing this a long time. Do you still enjoy it? Well, yeah, I still enjoy it, or I wouldn't be doing it, Granted, I don't want to do 15, 20 shows a week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, I love doing it. I just don't want to do it as much as I did when I was 20 because, and the town has changed. There's not really a need for, a dozen shows a week because it's just a different market now. And we do 4 or 5 shows a week, and it's great. We get all of our people into 4 or 5 shows, and the love for the music. Our boys, Colton and Caden, are both in the show, so that's fun to. It's still kind of wild to look across the stage and see your son out there just doing his thing, you know. And then our youngest boy, Caden, he's 16 now, right? So I look over at him like, that was me for almost 40 years ago in Branson, Missouri. I was that kid.
Yeah.
I wasn't quite as tall as he is.
Yeah.
But I was that thin rail, the not a lot of emotion, just singing the songs and doing my deal. And I'm like, that is me right there. And I think, where's he going to be in 15 years or 20 years or 25 years? When Tina and I kick back and hop in the RV and travel the United States, these boys, it's here for them to build off of.
And Tina, so much of Branson is family. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the people who come to celebrate family, enjoy family time together. But as Glade mentioned, you guys are a family show, entertainers.
Right.
With the boys growing up, Colton is an incredible entertainer.
Mm-hmm.
As you mentioned, Caden's coming up, still in school. But as you mentioned, kind of prioritizing some of that family time, you're okay with taking a Friday night off and going to a football game.
Yeah, we're very blessed in that aspect.
We're not just okay about it; we're demanding of it.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's funny because as he was talking, I was thinking about when we first started. It was more about the passion, which I still am very passionate. Obviously, I'm still dancing at my age, and because I just can't give it up. But there's a new passion that's coming up inside me, and that's watching, like he said, watching our kids do what they love to do.
Yes,
and being able to help develop what's going to be here for them for years to come. Because we do have Colton, who's performing his style of music, which he has a wider genre of styles because he enjoys pop. He loves contemporary. He loves the classics. He loves
Sinatra and all that stuff. Michael Bublé.
Yeah, he loves to sing it all. And Caden is our country singer. Mm-hmm. He has the ability to sing some of the other stuff, but you don't hear him sing that very much because he's just so embedded in that classic and it's classic
And
country.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love classic country. I remember my dad had a little portable transistor radio. He had a 65 Chevy Malibu, and the car didn't have a radio in it, so he had this little portable transistor under the seat. He'd pull it out and turn it on. At the time was Constant Country in Memphis, WMC 79 AM. And that was the station. And as a kid, I didn't care about it, but I've grown to love the classics.
Yeah. And we had Randy Travis at our theater last weekend. And when I was sitting there and watching the response of this crowd, right? Randy Travis up there on the stage. And even though he can't sing anymore from the stroke, he's there, the guy that turned country music. At that time, country music was kind of poppy with the Ronnie Millsap and the Exile and had the strings and the synthesizer sounds. And when Travis came out in '86, it changed everything. It all went back to traditional. And when I was there, we were sitting in the 6th row watching My Hero up there, and the vibe of the people around us, I'm like, okay, people are still starved for that country sound.
Yeah.
They love it. They want it. They eat it up. I mean, just you hear that steel guitar kick off, and they're like, yeah. So I love that.
Yeah.
And we do some of the traditional stuff in the show, but we don't only just do. I mean, that's what I love. I mean, if it were my option, I'd do 2 hours of Merle Haggard music. But not everybody maybe loves Merle Haggard as much as I do. So that's the reason we have the variety that we have. I mean, I would say 70% of our shows country,
right?
But we also splash in, we do an impersonations medley where we're hitting Bee Gees, the Beach Boys, a song from Kiss,
Sonny and Cher.
Cher. I mean, we've got the Pointer Sisters. We're David and Alan's doing a B.B. King song in the show. So it's a wide variety, and I think that's what people appreciate. I can't tell you how many times I've had people come to the autograph line. And a lady come up and she goes, man, we just love this show. I had to drag my husband to the show, had to drag him to the show because he hates country music, but you just did so much more.
Yeah.
And my husband, and he's like, yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
So I think that's what sets us apart as far as other shows is that, yeah, we're country based, but it's so much more than country. If you don't like this song, just hold on about 90 seconds and we'll be to something different.
That's
you
right.
know what I mean?
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
And I like the way you accommodate your guests too, because when you come, you even made improvements in the theater where the seats are a little more space. Sometimes you feel like a sardine when you're sitting in a chair. Not at the Clay Cooper Theater. You feel like you've got some breathing room.
Yeah. A few years ago, what was it, 10 years ago or so, we ripped every seat out of that place. We restructured the slope, brought in, busted out all the concrete, remapped the entire thing. We lost 100 and something seats so we could make the seats wider, more leg room, because when we were first starting out, that was the only complaint we ever got. Oh man, your seats are so small. I was so cramped. And the seats were small. I mean, the seats were from,
I remember when we went to look at the theater, we went and saw a show there.
Yeah.
And Clay was with his knees kind of up
like,
to his
man,
eyes, trying to.
they're cramped. So we thought, okay, we're going to have to jump off and make this investment. We can't invest as much money and time and heart into our product and everything we do to have this one thing hanging over our head, and that's
right.
Oh, your seats are too small. It's so crowded. So we invested a lot of money. We lost 100 and something seats to make it wider, and that's it's important.
It really is important. It makes a whole difference. So, what has been the hardest lesson that both of you have had to learn about being entertainers? Tina, start with
entertainers.
More lessons, I think, on the business side.
There's a lot more lessons on the business side for us, I believe. I feel like with the entertainment business, I think the thing that I've had to keep thinking about is to never allow myself to feel stale or to not take or to get comfortable with my performance, because that's always the first and foremost. You have to look fresh every single time you come out there, which isn't really hard for me because I've had a knee surgery. I just had back surgery last year, and it kind of gives you another, oh my goodness, I'm really glad I have this gift.
Yes.
You really realize what you have when you're about to lose it. And so I feel like for me, passion has always kind of been there, but just for the show, we're always trying to think of how can we be creative? How can we change it? How can we make it because we usually change about 90% of our show.
Every year.
Because we don't want our cast to get stale, but we also don't want the audience to be like, oh, I've seen that, I don't need to come back. No, we want them to come back every single year.
Yeah.
And honestly, our season pass holders, we have some that come weekly because they said, Clay's always going to do something different. You never know. If there's a possibility that there's an accordion player out there, he might just pull him up there. If there's a swing dance group, he might pull him up there. Or he might decide to sing a different song. There's times when he feels like he doesn't want to do something, he'll be like, I'm not going to put that in there. I'm going to do a request segment. So we just kind of have to stay on our toes backstage, which is also, really good for the show because it just keeps it fresh. And
it makes it fun, too, for everybody, right?
Yeah. And you know what? I would say that's the hardest part for me. Every year, we do our 10 months and then we're off. Most people think we go sit on the beach in the Bahamas for 6 weeks, but no. Tina and I usually always take a week to 10 days, and she and I will go somewhere on vacation out of the country. But even when we're there, we're on the beach putting a show together. I mean, we find ourselves like, oh, what about this song? And I'm like, what are we doing? We're on vacation. But it's, to me, that's the most stressful part every year is how are we going to make it better than last year?
Yeah.
People are watching. People are, I don't want people to come back, oh, I like last year's show better. Why didn't you do this or that? For me, it's the pressure of always keeping up with the Joneses, making sure that we have new, fresh stuff, and how are we going to make something even more different than the last year. And that's stressful because it's scary because you think, man, if, if it ain't as good, what happens if the people don't like it as good as last year? And then, so to me, I mean, maybe I'm blowing that out of proportion, but I do stress about that every year. And
he's not blowing it out of proportion.
And every year, you know what we hear? Man, this is the best show y'all have ever done.
Yeah.
I mean, last year I thought you couldn't get any better, but every year y'all just keep getting it. But every year when I say it can't get no better, you just prove me wrong.
Right. And so when you enjoy what you do, it's not that you have to go to work every day. There's people that have to go, and you have to work, you have to provide for your family, but it's almost like you get to do this thing and you enjoy it, It's just becomes part of your DNA.
It is. And even though there's probably, there may be days that we don't feel good or you had a long night or something went down or you're stressed, I mean, what I'm not going to say there's not, oh my gosh, I got to do it. Oh, I really don't feel like it. But when you get there and you put your garb on and the curtain comes up, that's all out the water and it's showtime.
Yes, it is.
You know what I mean?
So thinking back after all these 20 years or 40 years you've been doing this, how do you advise young and promising talent trying to make their way on Branson Entertainment stage? And many of them you work with, they come in and they audition for your show. But what is some of the advice that you give to them?
I'm so sincere when I see be hireable, because nowadays it's very hard for kids to really understand commitment, work ethic, and respect, really. And I don't mean that, I'm just being sincere.
Yes.
I think one of the things that we've realized that really works for our cast, first of all, we all get along. We love being with each other. We just had a little get together the other day, and we didn't have very many people that didn't show up. So that's a good thing, because that means that they actually wanted to spend time together on their day off. Usually on a day off, you're like, I want to go home and rest. No, they all came together and hung out. So that was really fun.
Yeah.
Also, when I say, just being respectful, knowing what your call time is, knowing that you're going to be showing up and you've got to put it all out there every single day. I know a lot of times when we go into work, Clay was saying, sometimes we're tired or whatever. It doesn't matter. 150% on the stage at all times, because that's what the audience is paying for. And being reminded constantly that that's who's taking care of your paycheck, and that's in any business, regardless if you're a waiter or if you're radio announcer, whatever. Those people that are listening to you or that are being served by you, that is who you are, who is taking care of your paycheck. So it's important to really put it all out there for them and let them know how much you appreciate what they're offering for you as well. So I feel like we go through a lot of that consistently each year with our auditions, because they just don't know what to expect, I love it when young people come in and they learn a combination for the show and they're like, oh my gosh. I'm like, yeah, there's more where that came from. Come on back, But it's always exciting to see some of that new the new kids that are coming in and what they're going to produce, and hearing how magnificent their voices are, or how high they can kick or how flexible they are, but knowing that sometimes that's not all that, when they realize that that's not all that needs to be happening for that job, is it's pretty cool to see them change.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
That is so cool. Clay, you seem to love picking on audience guests, and often, as Tina mentioned, we'll pull them up on stage with you. What's one of the more humorous times while interacting with your guests on stage that you probably have had so many of them?
Oh my gosh. Man, right offhand, can you think of something that's really made me just lose it? I mean, because there's been a few.
You've had a few.
I hear a lot of stuff come out of people's mouths, and sometimes it surprises me, like, whoa, they just really said that. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I can't give you one in particular because it's nightly. I mean, it's literally nightly that, and people, here's another, I'm glad you asked that, because a lot of people ask me, like, how do you seem to pick people that play along every time? Like, every time you get good people, they just get up and play. How is that possible? I said, well, I think that is because in the first few minutes, they can tell my personality. So in my opening monologue, when I start cutting loose and stuff, they know right away.
Yeah.
Okay, this guy's. This is a little different than the show we saw the night before,
Right.
where a guy just came up and said, "Here's this song. How about a nice hand for this guy?" I think he wants us to holler at him and say stuff. You know what I mean? You can feel.
Yeah.
If you go to a tight knit show that you'll know right away. Hey, could I holler at this guy and just say something crazy and him holler back? You can tell. So I think they can tell that I'm playful. I'm going to be playful with them. So it makes them feel like. Makes them want to be playful.
Yeah.
So it's not uncommon on a nightly basis for somebody to just holler this or holler that, or
if you grab
an
an usher and say, "Hey, I want you to give a large Pepsi," what do you want, man? You want a Sprite? You want a Dr. Pepper?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty lax.
There's definitely no third wall, like how they always say that when
Don't
a
break
lot
the
of times
third
your
wall.
stage is just to the edge of the stage. No, we go way beyond that.
You bring a sweet elderly lady up on stage and get in a swing with her.
Yeah.
Those are some.
Man, some of those ladies are wild. Let me just say that. I've had them say everything. Some stuff I can't even repeat right now because there's been a couple of like, whoa, did she just say that to me? But they love it, and they love telling their story, and those swinging videos have just gone viral.
Yes.
I mean, it literally has. Those videos are bringing people to Branson, Missouri.
Yeah.
I hear it every day. Like, we've never been to Branson in our lives, but my wife watches all your swinging videos, and I asked her what she wanted to do for anniversary. She said, "I want to go see that guy that sits on the swing with the old ladies." And they're literally making trips to Branson. I had a couple a few weeks ago came to the line. I said, "You been to Branson before?" "No, first time." She goes, he says, they were from Oregon, and she said, "It's our 40th anniversary." And I asked my wife, "What does she want to do for her 40th anniversary?" She said, "I want you to take me to Branson to see that guy that sits on the swing with the ladies." And I'm like, this is just mind blowing, right?
Yeah.
I had another couple come through, and they were from California, I think, and I asked her, saying, "Where are you from?" Blah, blah, blah. She goes, "Well, the strangest thing," she goes, "we were driving." She said, "I watch all your videos, all your swinging videos. I'm just, every morning I get up, it's the first thing I do. It makes me have fun and laugh before I go to work." And she said, "My husband and I had never been to Branson. We're driving down the strip here. And I look, and my husband looks up, and he says, 'Honey, that looks just like the guy that you watch every morning on YouTube with the swinging videos.'" And she goes, "Where?" And she said, she's telling me this.
Yeah.
I look up, and I'm like, "That's him. Pull in." They pull in, and they're like, "Does Clay Cooper have shows? When's his?" And they're like, "Tonight." And they're like, "We want 2 tickets tonight." So they literally had no idea that I was even in Branson. I'm just the guy that she watches on YouTube. They happen to be in Branson. Her husband says, "That looks like the guy." Isn't that crazy?
That is absolutely crazy.
I mean,
And a lot of people
wild.
think that he has them pre-picked,
Oh yeah,
but they're
no.
never pre-picked.
We have people now, because it is so popular, that they'll call in, "Hey, could Clay pick my wife for the swinging? Hey, we're going to be in row No, he doesn't do that. It's kind of a spur of the moment, whoever he grabs. And I had a lady, was it last week or 2 weeks ago?
A couple weeks ago, I think.
Comes through the autograph line. This is crazy. And she goes, I was really hoping you would have picked me for that. So I was ready. I even dyed my hair. And I'm like, what do you mean you dyed your hair? She goes, look at my hair. I went and bought, what's it called, platinum or silver?
Some highlights.
And I put silver platinum highlights in my hair because I noticed that you only pick older ladies with gray hair. And I said, are you kidding me? And her husband, she goes, no, she's not kidding. She dyed her hair grayer, hoping that you would pick her. And I said, wow. I said, well, next time, come back with snow white hair and you might have a better chance. I said, ma'am, you just didn't look old enough.
Do you realize you could actually start a business with this,
Oh, yeah. I've thought of many marketing things to do with this.
Oh, my. Well, Tina, your dance choreography, of course, it adds such a unique element to all the shows that air, because I know you are connected with all the other shows as well. What do you find your inspiration behind your dance routines when you're looking to do these numbers?
Oh, well.
I'd like to know that answer too, honey.
Yeah, I don't know. I have everything is usually based off of my performers and what I have. Like if I know I have 2 girls that are incredible ballet dancers, actually 3 that I know have a lot of ballet background. So I might use them in some, if there's an opportunity for an adage or something where they can do a lot of lifts or something, I use them primarily for that.
The old adage. You know what that is, right? Yeah. The adage.
Partnering. I went back to say partnering. But yeah, so, and I try to, I am very high on energy. I want to make sure that the audience can feel the energy coming off that stage when the dancers are on there. They all know that I'm also very much about cleanliness in the routine and where their arms are and how sharp they are and just all the energy that comes with it. And I love the boys. I love watching them jump. I love watching them flip. And so I always like to add a little bit of that kind of stuff into the show. During our Mickey Gilly segment this year, Hey Bartender, the boys actually get to come down and they have a little dance segment, but they get to do a lot of singing more this year too.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot of fun getting to work with them and show off their talents. And I think that's the one cool thing about Clay's show this year is that we really are showing a lot more talent from all of our cast members and things that they can do than we've gotten to show in the past. So, and they're very appreciative of that because they get to sing and.
Well, it's so, you guys are par excellent when it comes to the dance and choreography. You guys try to make sure everybody is in tune.
And we have cleanup rehearsals and we, have them watch the show. We sit down and we watch the show and we critique it and try to, make fixes. And, there's still days where I'm like, you know what, I might end up changing an 8 count because I just don't like it. And it might be June. It might be August. And I might say, this section's not doing it for me. I'm changing it. And they're like, we have 5 more months. Yeah, 5 months too many I can't watch that anymore.
Yeah.
And you know what? And you're right. I think that's what sets our dance troupe apart is because of Tina making sure that they are in sync, they are smiling, when they're clogging, they're kicking, they're making loud sounds and getting their knees up high, and because it all makes a difference. Even though you or I or the common Joe may be sitting in the crowd that don't know anything about dancing, they're going to notice if those 11 people are all doing this at the same time, or if there's a couple of hands opposite.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, they don't know technical adage or whatever this is or a term for this or a pirouette, but they know what they see. And if it doesn't look like it's all in sync or somebody's not smiling, they notice that.
They do notice.
Right?
Yeah.
But so then when you do go and see somebody that's, Rockette style, kick us together and everything, everybody's smiling. Even if 1 or 2 of those people in that lineup is not a great dancer, you can still be in time, smile, make the right moves, and people's going to see, wow, they are the best dancers I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, that's exactly.
And that's all her.
Well, congratulations are on tap for you, Clay, for another term for Alderman Ward 1. Recently,
Did you say condolences or congratulations?
I think I said congratulations, I
Okay,
believe.
thank you.
Back in April of this year, this is your second term through the 27, right?
This is my third term.
Third term.
Just started it.
So how do you view this political side of Clay Cooper, and what have you learned so far about public service?
Is that for me? Or?
Maybe you should ask you.
Yeah, we'll do that as a follow-up. Well, when I ran for office the first time, as you know, it was during the heat of the pandemic. And, a lot of people might have took me as the anti-mask guy or the anti-vaccine guy. And it never was about that. I'm not anti this or that. What bugged me is when I went to all the meetings and they were shutting down our businesses and making us wear masks, what made me angry, and I was angry, is that they weren't listening to the people that elected them.
Yeah.
Meeting after meeting after meeting, I would show up as a citizen. My wife and I go down there. The room would be filled, 150 people, one after another. Please don't make us, let it be our choice. Please don't make us, let it be our choice. And every meeting, mask mandate, extended 30 days, next month, extend 30 days. I'm just like.
And the business is shut down.
And I'm thinking, are y'all, and then when I heard one of the aldermen say, after they extended it the third time, he says, I know it's not the popular choice in the room, but I'm going to vote yes to extend it. Well, if you know it's not the popular choice, then why are you still doing it?
Right.
So I think the hard part for me is coming from Clay, the entertainer, to a politician is I spent my whole life wanting people to like me
right.
and enjoy what I do. And he's the fun guy. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's confrontation in politics. So that was a little hard at first, I didn't want to make nobody mad, Yeah. But when I first got elected and I voted and we repealed the mandate, I made it very clear that night. And I said, look, this is not about, I'm not anti-mask. I'm not anti-vaccine. If I choose not to take the vaccine, that's my business.
Right.
If you choose to take it, that's your business. I don't care. I don't think you're an idiot for taking the vaccine. Mm-hmm. Just don't make me do it.
Right.
And you shouldn't think that I'm an idiot for not doing it.
Yeah.
If I don't want to wear a mask somewhere, don't call me names or call me I'm an this or that.
Right.
Because I'm not. If you wear a mask, I'm not going to look at that stupid guy with it. I don't care. That's your business. So for me, it was all about. Let people I think people are responsible enough and adults enough to know, and there was times I would still put a mask on.
Yeah.
If, I think it was just the forcement of it that kind of drove me crazy. And since then, we've even had people come up and say, you need to ban the hospitals from giving out vaccines. No, we're not doing that because it's their choice if they want one or not.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I think the longer I've been in it, it's been easier for me to say, to face confrontation more. If I believe that something's right or wrong, that I'm going to vote with it regardless. I've gone against the mayor in several big votes. There's been a couple of hot topics where, I was a lone duck on a vote, and it's just the way it is. That's why you have 6 of us up there, because everybody's got a different opinion. And I just want to make votes and choices off of common sense.
Right.
Or what I see as common sense. You know what I'm saying?
Sure, absolutely. And really for the welfare of this community, ultimately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, businesses were suffering and dying and begging
Yes.
to let us open up and pay our bills and feed our kids. And it just wasn't being heard. And that's why I ran, and that's why I continue to stay there,
So from
now ask the wife.
I mean, I'm glad that he's doing it. I just feel like it's definitely put a little bit of a damper on his family, just because we see the comments that come through. If a decision was made that wasn't, in that particular person's opinion, the right decision. But I feel like one of the good things that's come out of this is that we are getting to know a lot more about our community.
Yeah.
We're learning a lot more about opportunities where we might be able to make a difference. Maybe not right this minute, maybe not 2 years down the road, maybe 7 years down the road. But it has helped us get a lot more in tune with what's going on in this community and what we can do to make a difference. And I feel the hard thing for me is that I have a heart that's like bigger than my body, and I want to be able to fix everything in a day's notice, and that, that's always hard.
I commend you guys for being willing to put yourself out there and take these stands and, want to do the right thing when it comes to serving your community and your fellow citizens here,
Well, I remember when I got really mad that last meeting that I went to just as a citizen, I walked out, I said, I am running for office. She goes, what? Are you sure? I'm like, I think so. I said, they're just not listening to me. They're not listening to any of us. It wasn't about me. They're not hearing any of us. I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to run. I'm going to win, and they're going to have to hear me because I'm going to have a vote on that board. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's
and it's funny because a lot of people get when anybody, when you get frustrated over something or a decision that's been made on your behalf, but you didn't vote and you didn't represent, you didn't go down to City Hall or you didn't go wherever you needed to go to let your voice be heard. You have to do that. Even though you don't think that they're going to listen, at some point someone will listen.
Right.
But you have to keep getting your
You know
voice
what?
out there.
They weren't listening, but I was there alongside them and I was listening.
And there were how many?
You know what
I
I
don't know
mean?
how many
And I
meetings
did
that you
something
went
about
to
it.
for that.
Tons of meetings. And yeah, that's the thing. So yeah, so it has, like she said, I've been called a lot of names in the last 3 terms, and he's evil, and how you wouldn't even believe the memes and the things that's been posted about, but they don't know me. It just the decision didn't go the way they wanted it, so therefore I'm an evil person.
Right.
No, I'm just. If you didn't like it, then you're welcome to run and try to get a seat at the table too.
Exactly.
That's what I
Or
did.
come down to City Hall and let us know what you.
right.
Come on down
let them
and
know
get
what
up
you're
at public
feeling.
comment and say it to our face, and maybe we can help
I think
you.
complacency, among citizenship is probably one of the biggest problems.
Yeah.
We were there.
Yeah,
We were there.
Exactly.
Hey, you think I even knew what an alderman did till the pandemic? Nope.
Yeah.
Didn't care.
Yeah.
Didn't even know who our alderman was.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, when local government was ruling our lives and our business and our livelihood, I'm like, whoa, these guys have a lot of power over us.
Right.
And then I think everybody woke up and went, oh, okay. So city government it's important.
It is very important. Yeah. Well, guys, this has been incredible for you guys to give us this extra time here in the studio. As we wrap up, final question, what do you both hope audiences take away from experiencing Clay Cooper shows in the theater?
I hope they walk away experiencing, a good time. I hope they experience. I think what we want them to have is when they come in there, we don't know what they're going through, or that lady's going through, or this guy's going through, or what a bad day they've had, or they might have lost a child recently, or the wife has stage 4 breast cancer, or the guy's waiting on a liver transplant. And all these things are things that I've witnessed.
Yeah.
When they come through the line, I got a lady up on the swing last week, and the guy comes through and he kind of pulls me aside and he goes, you have no idea what this meant to my wife tonight. We just found out last weekend that she has stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and they've given her 6 months to live. And you just took all of that off from. I haven't seen her this happy since we got the news, and I'm like, whoa, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I hear that night after night after night. You have no idea. My mother, all she wanted to do is come see this show before she died, and or I brought my husband. Me and my husband came here on our 50th. He died 2 years ago, and I just wanted to come back and experience where we were on our last vacation together. You've brought us so much memories. That's the That's the cool stuff that you don't think about. When the curtain comes up, you're like, oh, there's 800 people come to see a show.
Right.
Well, yeah, they did, but you don't know what those 800 people are going through and why they took a vacation to get away from the stress of something they're going through back at home. So I think that's the coolest part, is knowing that
you want them to feel better than they came.
Yeah. That's right. You want them to fit. That's
and
exactly,
to make a difference in their life. We want to be impactful, not just. you know, it's great to have a show that they feel good and they leave and they're like, man, that was a great show. But it's even better when it's something that a month later they go, man, that was such a good, you know, remember this about that show or remember that.
Or when they say, man, I just feel God's presence in this auditorium, your whole show, not just the gospel segment, just the spirit that you have with the people in the crowd and the way your wife treated us in the box office. And so that's cool.
Those little things, they add up, right?
Yeah.
They really, really do.
Yeah.
Clay, Tina, this is always so great to have you join Bot Radio Network here. When I come to Branson, I love seeing you guys, especially when we have these special moments here in the studio. But when I come to the show, it's always a great time. So we want our friends to be sure and come. So to get tickets, what's the best thing to do? And there's more than one show at the Clay Cooper Theater.
There's a
we've
lot.
Got several.
Yeah.
We have so basically they can go to our website at www.claycooper.com. Or they can go to claycoopertheater.com if they just write Clay Cooper Theater up there. And then it'll take them to all of our different shows. They can also call our box office at 417-332-2529 or 332-CLAY. And they can get a hold of our box office. We're open basically 8 a.m. until 10:30 at night. So we're open all day long if they want to call and make sure that they've got the perfect seats. If they need aisle seats, if they need if they have a wheelchair, if they need an armrest raised, whatever they need, we can. If they want to sit right up in the front, we can help them take care of them, give them that first class service right over the phone.
Coopers, God bless you. Love you guys. Thank you so much for coming by. Appreciate you.
Thank you.